Hi, Ishita. First of all, very much congratulations from Research team for cracking this UGC NET exam in your very first attempt.
Yes,
Congratulations.
thank you, ma'am.
How are you feeling right now?
Ma'am, I'm feeling very happy and proud because it was just my first attempt and I was able to score very good marks as well. And that
Relieved, kind of, right?
was relieving, very relieving.
That's so sad. It is a proud moment, of course. So, Ishita, let's come to our point. If did you find any difference between this attempt and in the previous attempt? Was there any difference?
Yes, ma'am. So, difference was that in the previous attempt, the questions were very repetitive. Now, in this one, in firstly for the paper one, the questions were analytical in nature, particularly for subjects like research aptitude, teaching aptitude, etc. And the second difference, in my opinion, was a lot of questions from minor acts as were asked as well. Although we covered it in research, and they were section based in nature, and those questions were asked which were not expected. Like even from the minor act, they were not general in nature. They were very specific and to the section. So, like minor act is something we should not ignore.
Yes.
And
Even to my knowledge also, like I have seen the previous year paper, they were, of course, as you have mentioned, that it was repetitive, right? The questions were repetitive and the minor acts were almost ignored. And suddenly in 21 attempt, they just come up with the minor acts, right? And that too, just on a section-based questions were there. And it was quite surprising for the students. So how did you tackle with this?
yes, ma'am. So I will begin paper wise. So in paper, yes, ma'am. So in paper one, as far as maths, logical reasoning, and all the like calculative questions are concerned, I practice them because before I started with my preparation, like in our classes, if you teachers always reminded us that we should practice maths because it will be a scoring part and it will be a deciding factor as well.
Yes, true.
Even in JRF, this is true. And one should always focus that, yeah, we are preparing well in law paper as well, but we must not ignore this calculative question because these are very scoring once a person gets a hang of it.
True, true.
And, yes, ma'am. And the teaching aptitude was taught very well in research. And research aptitude also, in that also a lot of classes were taken, but I could not attend it. And I think in that portion only I did a lot of mistakes. So I think if I had attended classes, I could have scored a few marks more.
Oh,
And
anyways, you have cleared the net.
yes, ma'am. And higher education was taught in a very smart manner. It was taught by you, and it is like a very vast subject, but the way it was taught in these classes, it was very exam targeted. And in higher education, the questions are asked were mostly direct in nature, and one was also asked from new education policy, and the other one was like out of the blue question. And
They
the
do,
higher
yeah, they
education
do
was,
come.
yes,
They
ma'am.
do commit like this, right? They may come up with a new type of questions which is completely out of your syllabus, right?
Yes,
Even
ma'am.
if we talk about paper two also, I have seen the paper and there were two, three questions, they were related from the company law, but they were outside these syllabus,
Yes,
right? I
yes,
guess
yes.
they were related to the SFIO. Come on, investigation is not given in the syllabus. How can you ask it? But yes, they did it like this. So
Yes.
they are completely unpredictable.
Part was taught very well in the class because it was given the attention it should be given, and it was not taught because it is very vast and and endless, and then the questions are asked are out of the blue. So I think the number of lecture, the quantity of teaching provided was sufficient in nature so as to answer the minimum requirement of the subject. Rest is like general. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So since you have started about paper one, so what was your strategy regarding paper? I mean, what were the units which you paid special attention?
I paid special attention to teaching aptitude. Research aptitude I completely left, and like higher education also I did practice the previous year question. I attended lectures and I practiced it like in a repetitive manner. So that was the part. And as far as calculative portions are concerned, I started practicing them before only, like before 2 months. And mm, I think, and reading comprehension is very easy.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Reading comprehension. See, if we talk about reading comprehension or this DI, right, data interpretation questions, I mean, they do, I mean, at least 5 marks questions they are being asked, right? If you are well on these topics, your 5 marks are never gone.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
how was your approach regarding DI? I mean, the mathematical portion. Being a law student, I can
Yes,
understand that we are not much comfortable with the maths.
yes,
But
ma'am.
how did
Ma'am,
you tackle it?
like for every law student, maths is like a very tough part and a very challenging part, and that's why we should just start practicing very before, and only because once we start practicing and get a hang of it, then these will be the very scoring part in the subject and the deciding factors as well.
Yes, yes,
So
true.
it should be practiced beforehand, and in a like, and I'm very happy that this thing was reminded to us time and again beforehand only.
Yes, because yes, they are. Because your 5 marks are consolidated over there if we talk about DI.
Yes, ma'am.
And secondly, how was your approach about the logical reasoning?
In logical reasoning also, one is the logical part, like the traditional logical reasoning. Another one is the Indian logic. So
Yes.
in Indian logic, it is there are just a few portions to be covered, and I covered it in the class. And apart from that, I practice MCQs, and if there is something additional, I started to memorize it.
All right. Okay.
So that was my approach, and like the calculative portion was again like maths only.
Okay. Right. Right.
Yes,
And even in this paper, we have found that most of the questions were asked from the communication unit.
yes, ma'am.
So,
Communication.
was that difficult for you, or was that okay for you?
Communication was okay for me. I in this also I attended lecture, and I even practiced previous year question paper. But this time in communication, I felt a difference. Some of the questions were very analytical in nature, and like they required some sort of application, and it requires a little bit more understanding to go through those questions.
Yes, I mean, in the previous year paper, what we have seen that simple kind of questions were asked from the communication portion. And even if I talk about this teaching aptitude or research aptitude, but this way they have changed it. I mean, I'm
Yes.
not challenging that they have changed the pattern, but they have changed the quality of the questions.
Hmm.
And even I'm not claiming that they were difficult, but it was different. I mean, people were not that mentally prepared that, this is going to happen. So it was surprising.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, the element of surprise is something we could expect in UGC NET from now on. Like, it is easy sometimes, but the syllabus is vast, and having a smarter strategy is very important.
Right, right. True. It's not as easy as we have thought. But
Yes, ma'am.
yes, they are changing the
We are
pattern.
changing the pattern, and like after this we will be discussing about the law paper, and in the law paper they have started asking judgment based questions as well.
Comprehension based
Like
question.
of
Yes.
5 marks, one was related to right to privacy, that is the
Yes.
Puttaswamy judgment, and one passage was given which was of jurisprudence,
Mhm.
and that was that was again a little bit tricky in nature.
Yes, they were tricky. I can understand. I mean, I have seen the September 2020 Wala question paper, and therein the questions comparatively they are simple, right? If we compare to the 21 attempt. But yes, I believe that in the coming days they are going to, push up the benchmark. We can
Yes,
really expect it. Okay, I can remember the time when the NTAs was coming up with the different dates, right? It was shifting the paper.
Yes,
continuously, right? Firstly, they declared that in October month they are going to conduct it. Then later on, then they postponed it again and again, and finally they have conducted in the month of November. So, what kind of, I mean, did you face any kind of problem or anxiety? Did you face any problem with this? The shifting of dates?
actually, yes, actually, shifting dates always creates problem because it creates some sort of mental pressure that whether the exam is actually going to be happened or not. And secondly, we are not mentally prepared to to have a sufficient time or not. For instance, first they said that the exam is on October 6th, and we were like, okay, the paper will be in 1 month and we have 1 month to prepare for it. Then they postponed it to another 10 days and then to one like indefinitely, and then all of a sudden in the month of November 13 they they uploaded the schedule that it will be conducted in the 21st of November, like after 7 days. So that creates a problem because in mind, if someone postpones exam indefinitely, the perspective we have is that it might be conducted in the month of January or December or maybe any time. So that is a sort of mental pressure which is created, and um, there is no surety as such. So that creates a problem in preparation.
Right, right. See, even I can understand. See, being a candidate or being a student, I do understand that, it act as a kind of bonus point for the students if there is a postponement of exam. They do like, okay, yes, we have got more time. But, consistently, shifting it again and again, I think that it does affect the enthusiasm and zeal of the students.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you were also affected by this? Or
No,
you
ma'am.
were just happy, no, I will just make my more preparation concrete?
Ma'am, I was affected a little bit, but not too much because I planned for giving UGC NET in the month of August only. So that was not that much hectic for me. But I believe for the people who have started aiming for UGC NET since last December, this was a very like stressful and traumatizing experience.
Yeah, anyhow, it was occurred, I guess, after a gap of 1 year, right?
1.5. Like
Yeah.
last time, it was conducted in the month of June 2020.
No, no, it was conducted in September 2020.
September 2020.
Was And after that, in November 2021, it occurred. Right. Even I can remember that time. I mean, we were coming up with the strategy-based classes, and on the basis of the date they clear, we were, planning all that thing. And then again, they were shifting the dates, and then again, we were planning all that thing. So it was in a situation that we were juggling at that time, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But anyways, the fact is that
While this happens is very difficult, and like we have to plan a lot and we have to change the plans.
yes, exactly. I mean, mental preparation does require things. I mean, it's very important to have that preparation through mentally. And if you are not
Yes,
aware that, or if you're not sure when the examination is going to take place, then you just, a kind of fuss has been created. But anyways, we have result before us. Anyways, you have cracked the UGC NET exam. So, and secondly, what was your approach regarding paper two? Since paper two has got 25 to 30 subjects. So how did you
yes,
manage
ma'am.
to complete everything? So did you skip that? Okay, just let me finish it. So did you skip any law, or have you covered everything which is given under the syllabus?
No, I did not cover. I think I covered everything, but I covered it in a very crisp manner. Like I will begin a subject wise only. In constitutional law, it was very exam targeted. Arohi ma'am always I think she prepared new PPTs for only UGC NET purposes as well. So it was like very exam targeted, and even the longer sessions are conducted in a short manner so that it is very strategic in nature. And in jurisprudence, I followed the same strategy I followed in the postgraduate entrance exams, and in that I solved previous year question paper and revised the existing content. Like for some of the subject, my preparation was already there because of the LLM entrance examinations. And even in international law, I followed the same strategy. Then coming to law of contracts, it was very section specific in nature, and in that we need to like remember the clauses, even the sub clauses of some sections. And for that the classes were helpful. I think I did not cover contracts in a great detail, and I just revised the index of that part. And then coming down to this comparative public law. So this subject is very vast in nature. There are so many countries and so many legal system, and for that we have to cover like different points like federalism, separation of power, etc. And so this is very vast, and like we covered it in a very strategic manner, and this was very helpful for me because I even did not have time to go through the books as well provided by Juriset, but I attended the lectures. And in a span of like 5 lectures, and this in a span of 5 lectures, I was able to attempt all the 5 questions of comparative law. This time, a lot of questions were asked. Like we were expecting there will be 1 or 2 only.
Surprisingly. Surprisingly, comparative law was the center of attention in this attempt.
Yes, ma'am. So, but this was very good that like all the 5 questions were from the class only. Okay. And it became a very scoring subject. Like what is what is something which is feared by everyone became a very scoring thing for us.
Right. So,
and for the minor acts as well, I think in one lecture only we covered around 1 or 2 lecture we covered around 4 minor acts, like a whole part we covered. And we in the class we were told about the strategies we must follow, like going through the important sections. The important section were like told to us so that we could revise them, so that it will be we could give a better attempt. And like all the minor acts I think were covered in 2 to 3 lectures only, so that was also very good. Plus it was a good like we were able to familiarize with the acts as well, especially the one which we do not know. So yes, that was also very good. And I think that was the syllabus of paper 2.
Yes.
I think overall it was a like very challenging paper because a lot of memory based questions were asked. Even in IT Act, though we were told a lot of sections to remember, but because of all this, there were like too much sections to remember. And I think the strategy followed by Jurisearch was very good, and that's why I was able to crack it. But had it been, I could have like remembered, I could have revised more, like the same things beforehand only. Then I could have scored a little bit more marks. Though I'm very satisfied with my attempt, but I think the strategy given by the classes were very good. So like what was left was a more revision on my part.
Okay. So specifically, if we talk about paper 2, right? And I just heard that it was time consuming. Is this a true fact?
Yes, ma'am. But I think I was able to cover the whole paper in like in sufficient time. I think even after my attempt, I had 5 minutes to think about and to do guesswork for the questions I did not know.
Okay. So if I ask you specifically that the questions which was given in paper 2, right, which is in law domain, how were the questions framed? I mean, were they different from the previous attempt, as I have already asked you? But how were they related? Like they were more like asked like in the form of assertion reason, or they were like, maximum match of the following were given. I mean, what type of questions were there?
A lot of questions were assertion reason based, and like some of them were match the column based as well, but they were easier to do, so they were like previous attempt only. However, the assertion reason based questions were quite tricky in nature, and So finding that like logical line between the sections and like getting the concepts was very important to get to those questions. But like for some of them, even after that, like they showed different answer than the other one. So yeah, but lot of assertion reason based question and like one judgment based question was also asked.
Yes. Yes. So, if I ask you that, let us know our viewers that which subject one should focus upon, or just arrange it chronology according to their weightage, so that people might get an idea that to which subject they should pay special attention. What will be your suggestion for them?
Okay, so one for the law paper, one should focus on constitution and IPC the most, and and after this jurisprudence and international law, and and after that the minor acts, and after that the comparative public law.
Right, right. What is your takeaway about the IPR and the environment subject?
I yes. Sorry, I did not. I forgot about these two. So first is Constitution and IPC, and after that is jurisprudence, international law, IPR, and environment as well. Maybe environment a little bit lesser than these two. So first is the Constitution and IPC, then the international law, jurisprudence, IPR, and and then environment law, then the minor act. Because but here a lot of questions from minor act were asked as well. But one should first prepare for these core subjects and then start with the minor act, so that it will be very it will be a very fulfilling experience that yes, we have covered a major chunk of the syllabus. And after that, in the last, one should focus on comparative public law, because it might get deviating in nature, as it is a very fast subject. But yeah, if a better strategy is like known to them, then it will be covered in a very short span of time. Otherwise, like one could take months studying this subject. So like leave comparative law for the last and study it as per according to the time one has. And for the paper one,
Mhm.
I think maths and in maths, logical reasoning and data interpretation and all these portions should be started at the very beginning, and these should be like practiced for like 10 to 15 minutes or maybe like that. But it should be like it should not be ignored for the end, because like as this is a very weak area for the law students as such, so it will get like very tensed in nature, and it will decide the selection. So never ignore these part. This is what I was told, and I think this was a very good strategy which I followed. And apart from that, start going through teaching aptitude, research aptitude, higher education, and attend, get familiarized, practice questions. That is very important. Post practice question, then look at the book. Don't just start mugging up and going through the whole big book because it's very big, and it is like very difficult to remember all these things. Plus it might not be exam targeted. One might have a knowledge, but it might not be that exam targeted. So I think following questions first and then going through the book will be a good strategy. So this was also followed by us, and I think it was a very good. And I regret not studying research aptitude in detail. I left it because I studied it in my LLM first semester. Yes, but I think an exam targeted strategy for this subject should could also have been followed, because what I did was in the college curriculum, and it is very different from what is asked in competitive exams.
Right, right.
So yes, ma'am.
So one last question from my side. So did you practice mock test paper or the mock quiz which we provided, sorry?
No, ma'am, I did not get time for that.
Okay, so did you practice previous year papers too?
Yes, ma'am, I practiced previous year question paper only.
Do you think that they were helpful in your examination?
Yes, ma'am, they were helpful, but I think I could have gone through more practice questions as well. As I did not have much time, so I went through the previous year question paper only. I thought it will be beneficial to look at the original questions first, and then subsequently go to the practice test.
Right. Okay. So again, by just concluding this interview, what is your piece of information or piece of suggestion for our viewers to crack this exam? Just be
Okay.
precise and yes.
Yes, ma'am. Start with math practice daily, solve previous year question paper, and learn the try to know the what are the important targeted based section which are targeted in the exams, and try to revise them very before the exam so that one is very much familiarized with the important section. So one like revising them is also very important. So revising, practicing maths, and going through previous year question would be my takeaway.
Right. And what about your paper two? Suggestion for paper two?
Suggestion for paper two is that revising sections, going through the previous year question paper, and focusing on the core subjects first, then going to the less important subjects. Like first core, then the less important, then the least important, and then like comparative public law.
So
And
according
like five questions were asked in that, but it might get very deviating the whole, it might change the whole nature of preparation because it's very vast in nature. It is not that much one requires a very smart strategy to study for studying this subject.
so in short, if I say that one must keep a balanced approach between the core subject and the minor subjects, then he might be able to clear this exam, right?
Yes.
And if I ask you that how many days or how much time one should take to, prepare for this UGC NET exam, then what will be your answer?
I think for an average student, like around 3 to 4 months is more than sufficient. And if like the person is able to give more hours, then even 2.5 months is also sufficient.
All right. Thank you so much, Ishita. It was nice talking to you. I hope your suggestions might be useful for our viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you and all the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you to each and every member of the Juris Edge team.
Thank you. Thank you, Ishita.